into the development of the 2019 award-winning Student Applied Benchmarking Project, driven by the acronym PAUSE, which stands for Purposeful Acknowledgement, Understanding, and Support for Everyone. And so with the formation of a team of trusted academic and community advisors, we created an innovative strategy to bring attention to the complex food and housing insecurities, as well as the mental health challenges individuals at Wake Tech were experiencing, to really generate conversations leading to collaborative student-centered solutions and awareness based really on a pilot study. Over 300 Wake Tech students shared their responses in relation to social determinants of health, including their transparent experiences with their own mental health needs. And because of that, I felt really driven to advocate on behalf of those sitting in the same classrooms that I was. My mentors at Wake Tech come from so many diverse disciplines, including Suvanita D in the library, Paige Roseman in psychology, Dr. Paula Tiander in sociology, Melody Henderson and Emily Moore, who value student voices and goals, and they really helped shape my PAUSE project into one that continues to have sustainability. I was able to use the grant funding from the award to create a poverty simulation event focused on increasing awareness of both campus and triangle resources, as well as contribute to the direct outreach provisions for friends and families experiencing homelessness, including students. On behalf of our team of mentors, Jeff Harris and I submitted a proposal to construct a centralized student PAUSE resource center to grant everyone access to those coordinated social services of care through integrated academic and communal support. This idea was modeled after learning about Dr. Russell Laurie Hart's work at Amarillo College in 2019. And I still have faith that this will happen in some way at Wake Tech to really help students overcome life barriers and fulfill their passion for education. Sarah Rothman and I partnered with the beautiful Through Our Eyes project in Raleigh to create a short film highlighting the faces living in the underbelly of our city and elevating the voices of Wake Tech students who have experienced homelessness, substance use, and mental health challenges. Sherry Nairn and I encouraged the Health Science Division leaders to participate in mental health first aid training in 2019 as well, which is expanding into individual curriculums across campus. And this year, Jeff, Tracy Rowe, Kimberly Atkinson, and I were extremely fortunate to partner with a nonprofit organization to provide Wake Tech students and employees with inclusive access to mental health first aid training at no cost until the end of November 2021. PD credit was approved for this course, as well as for the many Teams workshops with community mental health and substance use leaders we offered to better understand how to support one another. And as a result, we obtained administrative and financial support for the mental health first aid program to continue indefinitely with a small group of in-house trainers focusing on encouraging all staff and faculty to become certified beginning on September 24th, this Friday. I believe there is a we in mental wellness, and so from the beginning with Dr. Harville, it has been particularly important to me to reach out to all members of our Wake Tech family. That vision is really symbolic of purposeful acknowledgement, understanding, and support for everyone, reflecting the beautiful, diverse communities we all live in and those disparities that may impede our success. So from the barbershop in Southeast Raleigh, spreading love to their neighbors, to the holistic advancements in health and life sciences that affect our entirety, especially right now, our wellness is intertwined in our authentic interaction with one another. So as you can see, all of these branches of the PAUSE initiative stem directly from my participation in student applied benchmarking. And what I learned, my goodness, I I learned throughout this very humbling journey is that student-led initiatives awaken the confidence in scholars when nurtured by academic mentors who listen with intention, guide with empathy, and challenge our ideas through collaborative dialogue, really giving us a place at the table. And that is the culture of hope and healing necessary to thrive and succeed as individuals and as a community. I believe intersectional liberation and achievement is often anchored in these relationships, which can truly alter our lives in ways that extend far beyond our time at Wake Tech. This is when I start to get emotional. I would love to see all students, regardless of what program they are enrolled in, granted the ability to participate in this process, as they have a wealth of ideas just waiting to be cultivated and developed. The Student Applied Benchmarking Project was crafted to give breadth to student perspectives, and I will continue to exude gratitude for its creation under SVP Brian Ryan and all the extraordinary people who believed in the valuable message of the Pause Initiative and still continue to walk this journey with me. So thank you all for listening, and I appreciate you.
Thank you, Nicole. I always enjoy hearing you speak about student applied benchmarking and your project, because you definitely are a great example of the possibilities that can come through a student applied benchmarking process. So I want to kind of maybe take a little bit of a step back and talk about what does this process look like, right? Nicole's project was definitely it was an elaborate one, but not all projects are like that. Nicole's project has also had a very lasting impact on life here at Wake Tech and will continue to even when she leaves us. As she mentioned, we now have the ability to offer mental health first aid training in-house, and that is largely due to the efforts she put forth with her Pause project through student applied benchmarking. So it is definitely possible, the students who are listening today, to have a voice and make a change for the better here at Wake Tech. So the way the student applied benchmarking process works is it is a fairly spring heavy process. And I'll tell you why that is in just a minute. But through the fall semester and in through the early part of spring, if students have an idea for something that they think should be changed, what they would do is locate a mentor, a faculty or staff member who might share a similar interest with them. So again, maybe it's somebody they had a class with, or maybe it's a staff member they had reached out to for something else and through conversation learned that person might be interested in whatever the topic or idea is. Once they have found a staff or faculty mentor, they would then begin working on their project. So they would identify, what exactly is the problem or what needs to be changed. You would do a little bit of research to find out, how many people are impacted by this change or by this process here at Wake Tech. Is this really something that would affect lots of people on our campus, or is it something that maybe just one office could address? The student would then, with the help of their mentor, locate what we would call an expert. So ideally, it would be somebody who maybe works at another college similar to ours, who is doing something that is being viewed as really good or really positive way of doing that process or procedure. And they would speak with them about how it is that they got where they got on their campus, or what ideas or suggestions or advice they would have for another campus that might be grappling with a similar issue. They would then take that information they get from their expert, and then they would craft a proposal for how to make a shift or a change here at Wake Tech. This would happen probably by April-ish. And this process can take as long as you want it to take. So one of last year's winners worked on her project for actually a year and a half with her faculty mentor. We've had students who have started their project in January and submitted it as part of the April projects. So it really depends on what your project is, the scope, how in depth you want to get with it. and the time that you and your mentor can invest. So there are lots of options in that regard. In April, we have what we call the Student Applied Benchmarking Showcase. And that is where students who submit projects through the SAB program submit their posters. And I'll show you an example of what I mean by that. But a poster is essentially their proposal. What is the problem? What is their suggestion for change? How would it be implemented? This is where they get to put their message out there, right? What needs to happen to make something better for students at Wake Tech, and how do we propose that it happen? That happens in April, and there are judges. It is a judged process. So we have 5 judges. They're all internal folks. Last year, Dr. Gail Green was one of the judges. There was a faculty member from the business department who was a judge. Trying to remember who else. I think Dr. Kai Wang was a judge last year as well. But we have a group of administrators, faculty from different areas, staff from different areas who look at the posters and judge them. And the top 3 winners receive scholarship money. So the first place winner receives $1,000 in scholarship money. The second place winner receives $750 in scholarships. And the third place winner receives $500 in scholarship that you can use either for the next summer or fall semester, or if you're graduating in that same spring semester, it could be applied to any balance you have owed and then issued to you in the form of a refund. So in addition to that, the Student Applied Benchmarking Program does have some funds that we can implement. We can help with the implementation of a project. So if you're a student and you work on a Student Applied Benchmarking project and it wins and you get really positive feedback and you want to try and implement it, we do have funds to help make that happen. So in Nicole's case, for her project, we were able to help provide some funds to provide food and supplies for her poverty simulation event. We've also been able to help provide some money to give some thank you gifts to people who were involved in that as well. One of last year's winners, her project was to help create some bookmarks for use in the ILC to help encourage students to take advantage of study groups for math classes that have high levels of withdrawal because they're challenging courses. And so we were able to help actually get some of her bookmarks printed so that the ILC could continue to encourage people to make use of those study groups even after she graduated last semester. So they are still using those bookmarks, and I expect that they will just update the dates and things as we move forward, and they'll continue to do that. They did see an increase even with the pandemic in the numbers of students that were using the study groups just because they were more aware of them through these bookmarks. So we're really proud of her for that. And that's kind of how our process works. What I'd like to do now is show you some examples of previous projects so you get a little bit of an idea of what those might look like. This is a poster that a student submitted, Mustafa Al-Bayati, and he kind of is, I kind of view him as like the initial big winner of a Student Applied Benchmarking Showcase. But his contribution was he wanted to create something called the Wake Show. And it became part of, I think it actually may have spurred Wake Tech to actually get a YouTube channel. But he partnered with a documentary film producer to think through a series of videos where they could talk about the things that are happening here at Wake Tech. And I do believe that he wanted to, make it a weekly kind of a show on YouTube where he could really highlight all the wonderful things going on Wake Tech. And that continued for several years. And we still use that same YouTube channel today when we're posting videos to that. But you can see he provided a little bit of introduction. He talked about how he would like to implement the project, the progress he's already made, and then the next steps to implementation, as well as the expert that he contacted. Now, for students who might be interested in doing a student applied benchmarking project, we do provide you with a template for the poster. So we give you a lot of guidance along the way to know how to do these kinds of things. So if you are curious, but you're not sure you think you would know how to do this part, we can help you with that for sure. The next one is one that was submitted 2 years ago. And this was submitted by a student who was really concerned about the fact that we have new mothers on our campus who really had no comfortable or really nice, comfortable place to go sit if they needed to pump or meet their lactation needs as new mothers. So she worked to find some places on the Scott Northern Wake campus and also on the Southern campus where there might be a possibility to create a lactation space for new mothers. And so she collaborated with our facilities folks. She worked with people in our orientation and admission office to figure out how to reach out to some of these students. And then she looked at Forsyth Tech and then a couple of other colleges to get an idea of how they were able to get their lactation rooms implemented. So then she mentioned her current project, her proposal for change, and essentially what she proposed was that there was a space that would be available, I think, on the Southern campus, the Southern Wake campus, that she thought would be great with a little bit of paint and perhaps a comfy chair. So that mothers would feel comfortable having a space to go to take care of those needs while they're here on campus. That way they don't have to leave campus or wait until their children are of the age where they don't have to worry about those things before they return to campus. So that was another one of our winning proposals. We've also had other things. Oh, I'm sorry.
So can I just pop in here and say I'm working on the Eastern Wake campus, and we are we made sure that there was a lactation room in that building as well. So this is moving
Awesome.
forward, and as we design new buildings, we are incorporating this idea.
Oh, great, thank you. Yeah, so you can see again, this is something that maybe has some lasting change as well. So yeah, this another example of how student ideas really have helped propel some things forward. We've had other ideas, such as we had a student last year, the winning project, the first place winning project last year was a international student who encouraged the development of a position within the admission office to support international students so that they would have resources and a way to build community here on campus that she felt was currently lacking and made her experience a little bit harder as a new Wake Tech student. So we have very big projects, we have some projects in between, and then we have things that we've had students suggest the use of those scooters that could be available on campus so students could get easily from one part of campus to the other side of campus without having to move their cars because of parking issues and still be able to get from class to class in a reasonable amount of time. We've had students suggest a new bus for the athletic program so that student athletes would have access to Wi-Fi while they're traveling to athletic events, and so that they could get homework done while they were traveling and not have to sacrifice their classroom efforts as well to be a part of sports here at Wake Tech. So we've had a wide variety of projects that can really be anything that you are passionate about, that you think could be better here at our school. So some ways that you can get involved if you are listening and you think that this might be something you are excited about. We need to change this slide. It's now, well, I guess it is actually called Wake Tech Extra, but there is a site if you go to the student, I think it's the student services or student life tab of our website. Student applied benchmarking does have a presence there, and we post all of our deadlines, all of our announcements and things there as well. You can request to be added. We have a student applied benchmarking Blackboard course. If you want to stay current, if you'd like to access templates or more information about how to submit a student applied benchmarking process, you can get access to that. You can speak with your instructor or other staff members that you spend time with if they would like to incorporate a student applied benchmarking project into their class. And there are ways that can be done, and I'd be happy to share. I have a class that I've implemented this in as well. And then, of course, encourage other students and your faculty and staff members to participate, because it really is a unique opportunity to get some experience with social entrepreneurship, where you identify a change, you submit a proposal, and perhaps really make a difference here at Wake Tech. If you're a faculty or staff member, you can certainly consider mentoring a student who is working on a student applied benchmarking. And you can also request to be added to the student applied benchmarking Blackboard course for resources helpful to mentors as well. So we don't just kind of leave you out there on your own. We're glad to give you advice and support as you work to advise and support a student. We also are able to pair students if there is a student who wants to do a project but maybe doesn't know a faculty or staff member well enough to know if they might be a good fit. We can pair students with mentors and vice versa. Maybe there's a faculty or staff member who would like to be involved with student applied benchmarking. They don't necessarily have a student in mind, but they oftentimes will say, I would really like to mentor a student. So if you have one who needs a mentor, please keep me in mind. As well, you can incorporate student applied benchmarking into your course assignments. And then you can always consider joining the student applied benchmarking leadership group, which consists of myself and Nicole and 3 or 4 other faculty and staff members. We all kind of work together to implement the student applied benchmarking program. It's not a huge time commitment, but it is something you could put on a faculty rank application, for example, as a way to kind of work on something that might be interesting to you that's a little bit outside of your normal duties day to day, but that again doesn't take a lot of time. So at this point, I think we will open it up to questions if anybody has one. I know we've put a lot of things out there, but do hope that it's been as clear as we can make it, but we're happy to answer questions if you have any.
Dr. Harville, I just also wanted to add, that one of the most amazing things that occurred with Gia's a poster with the lactation rooms is when the idea came to light, she didn't know how to approach it, and it was like, what do you actually envision for this room? She wanted it to be beautiful and welcoming, and so I was, okay, contact Harriet Hoover in the arts department to nurture that artistic side of that. And I think sometimes when, there's that collaboration and that nurturing of that idea, and, sometimes students might be afraid to even say it, right? Like, how am I going to affect change on campus when it's so big? But I think when you put it out there and you talk with someone, like I said earlier, who really tries to understand where you're coming from and why it's so important to you, the rest of it, comes naturally, because it shouldn't be overwhelming, and the steps are all outlined for you through this poster, and it's just a matter, of going through that and creating a vision, putting it on a little poster and saying, this is what I will be proud of once I leave Wake Tech. And so I just wanted to add that, because sometimes it can feel, I think, a little overwhelming when you say a benchmarking project, like, oh my goodness. But for me, I can see all of these different programs, divisions, and buildings and go, there is opportunity here for students that to work with mentors who really want to have that conversation that is abundant. And so that's why I'm really hopeful that every program has the opportunity to take part of this, because that's where change comes from. And it when you think about it, it's for the betterment of our Wake Tech family, right? So I just wanted to kind of share that from, a student perspective of how it might look a little overwhelming, but when you start the process and you get that nurturance, it comes very naturally. So
thank you, Nicole. I'm glad you added that. Yeah. And we also have resources too for the faculty who are attending. We do have documents where we share examples of how you might incorporate this into a class if you were interested in that. I teach a mental health advocacy course, so it works really nicely. I have them go from start to finish to make a suggestion that would help benefit the wellness of students here at Wake Tech as part of that course. It's their culminating project for the entire semester. Some of the communication faculty have incorporated it as part of their persuasive speech assignments, that whatever it is that the student feels passionately enough about trying to persuade people about in their speech, and then they can take it a step further and create a student applied benchmarking project around it. And we also encourage students who are doing honors projects, or maybe you're involved in service learning, to consider how you might be able to incorporate some of that work into a student applied benchmarking project that you could submit potentially for scholarship money, or to have it actually implemented here at Wake Tech. So if you need thoughts, if you want to brainstorm some things, you can reach out to us and we can help you do that as well. So as Nicole said, we do try to provide a lot of support to students and faculty and staff who might want to participate in this initiative, because it really is, I think it's a really great and unique way for students to have a voice and potentially leave a good legacy behind them when they move on from Wake Tech. Great. Any other thoughts or questions before we wrap up? Nicole and I were recently in a training where we learned that people need 37 seconds before they can respond to questions like that. So we'll provide time.
Yes, yes. And so, with everything that was said and shared, it sometimes takes a moment to process. And, any question is relevant. And, even looking at all of you right now, like I can just imagine what is possible. And so we really encourage you to just take that moment and to think about everything that's going on, and how you can really implement a change that is lasting, because it is possible.
Yeah. Well, here on this slide, and I certainly, and I imagine Nicole we can stick around for a few minutes if people have questions that they would like to have addressed, maybe outside of the group. But I put my contact information here, my email address, and then we do have a student applied benchmarking email address. You are welcome to use either of those if you would like more information, or if you would like some of those documents that I have referenced, I'd be happy to share those. That is also the address you would use if you wanted to get added to the student applied benchmarking Blackboard course. That does not commit you to doing a student applied benchmarking project, but if you would like access to some of those resources, or to see what are some of the things that we talk about in that group, you're welcome to email me and ask to be added to that, and I will make sure that happens. And then finally, what we would ask on behalf of the advising office is if you would be sure to fill out their post-session survey. There is a, I guess it's called a QR. I feel so old. I think a QR code here, or there is also a link directly to the survey. So if you would please do that before you get too far away from this session, we would greatly appreciate it. And then otherwise, like I said, we're happy to stick around and answer questions. But that really will be about it.
Don't leave, because I got to talk about START.
Oh, I'm sorry. Don't leave. Don't leave. Stay.
Alrighty, so thank you so much. That was great to hear about the student applied benchmarking. And I wanted to talk a little bit about the START program, which is the STEM Academic Research and Training Program. And so this research is more about the type that Dawn said. The applied benchmarking is not about this kind of research. And so this is the type of research, when you kind of think about research, that it really is about research. And it is a STEM based. So most of our projects are biology, chemistry, physics, geology, engineering, yeah, for the most part. And what I'm going to do is just share our website. So I was not as prepared as the student applied benchmarking, and I don't have a PowerPoint. But I was just going to talk a little bit about our program and share our website and let you know what it is all about. Alrighty. And so this is our website. And one of the things that we'll start with is talking about the different types of projects that we have. This is in the process of changing currently, but we have two different projects that look at the antibiotic resistance and bacteria. So one of them is looking for a particular antibiotic resistance gene in the environment, and the other one is looking for new bacteria that is in the environment that we could use. The aquatic flora and fauna is looking at the crayfish population in North Carolina. There is not a good repository to look at the different species of crayfish that we have in North Carolina. So you'll go out around Wake County. We're going to start with Wake County and just find and catalog and do some research about crayfish. The data analysis is we are partnering with Piedmont Health and looking at some of the data that they have accumulated with COVID testing. So this would be more of a math type of project. Our Futures project is a collaboration with the Moorhead Planetarium, and it is more about science communication and being able to tell your story to the public. Using gamification to teach geology, it uses the free version of Minecraft, which is called Minetest, and it makes it legit for geology. So a lot of that game does not go with reality, and so our geology students are looking through it, trying to figure out how water really would flow in real life, how different things would work, and then doing the programming to make the game more realistic to the real world. How should you use the 2020 census and make sense? And so again, that's another math project to be able to look at big data and how that works. We also have some 3D printing projects usually that are not on here for this semester, but are on the future. So the way that you apply to our program, before I get off of this website, is actually to go to our website and to apply here at the bottom. So we currently are full for the fall, but in November we will be accepting students for our spring cohort. So I'm going to copy this and actually put it into our chat, and then I'll stop sharing our screen. So how this will be looking for the spring is we have just recently received a grant, and so students will be will apply and will be selected. We'll accept 50 students, and they will be paid and compensated for their time. So what happens when you apply is you look at the different projects, you pick the project that you're interested in, then you get paired with that mentor, and you will work on that project. We ask for next semester 40 hours of research time plus 20 hours of extra time. So 15 minutes of or 15 hours of that will be kind of in a training session and cohort building session. And then the other thing that we will do is have campus tours with NC State, UNC Chapel Hill, and North Carolina A&T. Your compensation will be $1,000 for the semester, again, for the 60 hours of commitment. Just like with the student applied benchmarking, we do ask that you have a communication piece at the end of the semester. You can do either an oral or a written communication. It doesn't matter to us. You pair with your mentor and figure out what is best for you. We do also have an in-house journal that we publish called Eureka. you're welcome as well to write up what you did for the semester or the year and submit it to our in-house journal. We take students to scientific conferences to help them to figure out what it means to be a STEM professional. So sometimes students are like, well, I think a scientist would do this, or I think research would do that. Or one of my best examples is I had a student come in and they had a lot of life experience, and they came in and said, I know that I want to be an environmental researcher. So they got on a project that dealt with environmental wet labs, and after a semester, they decided they really didn't like it. But they were really interested in the math and the data and analyzing the data. And so the next semester they switched and was able to work on a project that had to do more with math, and they loved it. And so they transferred to NC State. They changed their major once they got to NC State to biostats, and now they're in a PhD program. And so they were able to do some of that career exploration and just figure out what it means to be a STEM professional while they are here at Wake Tech, working with a mentor and helping to solve some really cool problems. We're making some new collaborations for the spring. Like I said, one of our current partners is the Duke Lemur Center. So one of them projects looks at dwarf lemurs and the paternal behavior with babies. So most lemurs, it is the females that deal with the care of the infants, but there is some data suggest that in the dwarf lemurs, at least, the dad will help some. So they have some video, and we will analyze it and look at it and see whether or not dwarf lemurs actually use paternal and maternal care or just maternal care. Others will look at the nitrogen and the carbon isotopes to look at the dietary needs and restrictions on the lemurs. And a third one will actually look at the gut microbiome of the lemurs over a period of years and try to figure out how they are changing. For UNC, we haven't picked up our projects yet, but we are partnering with the Department of Pharmacology, the Precision Medicine, looking at some different things that would lead towards some medicines and mechanisms of medicines and that kind of thing. NC State, we are partnering with the chemistry department. We are partnering with the geology department. We are partnering with the biology department and have a couple of different areas, and the vet school is one of them. So we have a lot of different areas that you can actually be interested in. Again, the main big things is that you will apply to the website and to the program. Once you're selected, you will be paired with a mentor to work through this, and then you'll get to do some really cool research. And so I will actually stop there and see if there's any questions in the chat. I didn't hit send. I've put our website so you can go there, and I welcome Dawn back. And again, we can answer any questions that you have about any of the research opportunities that are available here at Wake Tech.
Thanks, Jackie. I hope that we gave you enough time.
You're good.
Yeah. What an exciting opportunity. I had no idea. Yeah, so there's lots of great opportunities to get involved with different types of research at Wake Tech as well. And what a great, skill to put on an application or a resume when you're looking at your next steps to say, I was involved with some really cool research. So, yeah.
I just want to add something too for both of these. Like, I think it's amazing what you were doing, Ms. Swanek, like when you really think about it. So I applaud everybody's efforts with that. But what I'm loving is, and especially now, everybody is learning about all these amazing opportunities, that is inclusive of so many different programs. And I just, as a student, I just want to say thank you, for what you're doing, because I know that students really appreciate that opportunity to grow. So thank you.
Of course, and right, so this would not happen if students didn't do it. So we appreciate all the effort and the time and your wonderful ideas that you put forward. And so Isabella asked how I can apply for the spring semester. So if you will go to that website in like November, we'll open up applications again for the spring.
Great. Any other questions before we wrap up? All right. Well, I'm going to put the email address if you have questions about student applied benchmarking. And then I put the link to the survey in the chat, but I'll go ahead and put it in again, just in case you missed it. Please do that. That way the great folks in academic advising who put this together can figure out how to make it even better next time. So they definitely appreciate that feedback as well.